Hey, AP Macro students, hope you enjoyed question number 2. I like it. I like comparative advantage questions. I think they're kind of fun. Maybe you disagree. But what we're going to do now is I'm going to go through the answer on how to solve the riddle of country X and country Y and the furnaces and the solar panels. Here we go. What you're going to need to do here, if you're using the method that I like, is to draw yourself a chart, the nice tic-tac-toe with an extra line in it. You put the player country X, country Y, and you go ahead and input the production possibilities that you were given. Country X can make 6 furnaces or 8 solar panels. All right? 6 furnaces or 8 solar panels. Country Y can make 6 furnaces or 12 solar panels. And we want to know who has the absolute advantage. So absolute advantage in furnaces, nobody has an absolute advantage. Absolute advantage in solar panels goes to country Y. And by the way, rubric point 4A asks you which country has an absolute advantage in producing solar panels. That is the easiest question ever. Hopefully you said country Y. That's worth a point. So for part B, it wants you to calculate the opportunity cost of a furnace in country Y, which just happens to be the next step on our filling out our chart. See, this is why we do the chart, because it lays it all out in a nice order for you. So what do? We put 1 furnace equals 1 furnace equals 1 solar panel equals 1 solar panel equals. Remember, we want to compare apples to apples here, right? So if you are in country X, 1 furnace equals what? Well, that is 8 over 6, which is 4 over 3. So 1 furnace equals 1 1/3 solar panel, which is kind of a weird, awkward number, but that's what we've got. And if you are country Y, 1 furnace equals 12 over 6, which equals 6 over 3, which equals 2 over 1. So 2 solar panels, right? And you may have been able to do that without expanding it all out there, but 1 furnace for every 2 solar panels. There you go. So you've already figured out now in doing this top row what the opportunity cost is of a furnace in country Y. 1 furnace in country Y equals 2 solar panels. So the answer for B is 2 solar panels. All right. Part C asks, which country has the comparative advantage in producing furnaces? Okay, so you have to finish our chart in order to figure that out. So who's going to have the comparative advantage? This is going to be 3/4 of a furnace for country Y, and for country X. For country Y, 1 solar panel equals 1/2 of a furnace. So who is it cheaper to make a furnace? All right, if I'm making every furnace cost me 1 1/3 solar panels for X, and if 1 furnace is 2 for country Y, then country X has a comparative advantage in furnaces, and conversely, country Y is going to have a comparative advantage in solar panels because 1 solar panel only costs half a furnace versus 1 solar panel equaling 3/4 of a furnace. So we know that country Y should make furnaces and country X should make solar panels. And we also have the answer to letter C, which is the comparative advantage in producing furnaces is country X, and the explain is important here. All right, you get a whole other point for explaining that country X has the lower opportunity cost for producing furnaces. And that's actually it. That's all the explanation you need. You need to just say that country X has a lower opportunity cost for producing furnaces than country Y. And then finally, part D, it gets to the dreaded terms of trade. But this is a good example of what I'm talking about when I said, like, if terms of trade always bother you, you got 4 out of 5 points here just for knowing how to fill in the chart. The terms of trade part, well, that can get a little tricky, but you would only lose 1 rubric point on this question. And they give you a terms of trade. Would it be okay to trade 2 furnaces for 1 solar panel if you're country X? Okay, if you're country X, would it be okay to trade 2 furnaces for 1 solar panel? Well, I can see right now that if it's going to be, if I want 1 furnace to be more than 1 1/3 solar panel, then that stands to reason, and I'm going to come over here. If I want 1 furnace to be greater than 1 1/3 solar panel, if I multiply that by 2 and say 2 furnaces, because that's what the question asked, 2 furnaces for 1 solar panel, 2 furnaces need to be greater than 2 2/3. They didn't even make it close. That's nowhere near acceptable in terms of trade. 2 furnaces for 1 solar panel? No. So what your answer needs to be is that country X should produce the solar panels domestically. They should not trade. And you don't even have to explain why. But we know why, right? We know why, because in order for the terms of trade to be appropriate, country X is going to need more than 1 1/3 solar panels in order to make that trade. So there you have it. There's the answers to question number 2. We had 5 rubric points there, 1 for absolute advantage. That's a slam dunk. Hopefully you got it. Another one for identifying what the opportunity cost is in solar panels for Y. Another one for explaining that country X has the comparative advantage in furnaces because they have a lower opportunity cost than Y. And then finally, you get a point for identifying that those terms of trade are no good and that country X should make the solar panels domestically. So, on to number 3.